Does the world really need another technology podcast? I think so, and here's why. My name is Jared. This is the Human Factors Tech Podcast. Welcome. Let's get into it. Let's start with a really basic definition. Human factors are anything that has to do with human behavior as it intersects with process, technology, or organizations. For this podcast, we are going to be very specific and focusing on just the technology piece. Let me tell you a little bit about why I'm so interested in human factors, technology, and why I'm going to spend the time and the effort going through this on yet another podcast. So, once upon a time, in a land far, far away, about 20 years ago, I started a podcast. It was all about things that you never learned in your undergrad degree that you needed for a job right out of college. It was great. The name of the podcast was 20-something Marketing. I had an immense blast doing it. I think we ran for maybe about 3.5 years. It was something that helped me get into grad school, and it was something that launched my curiosity into digital strategy. Now, flash forward about 20 years later, and I'm still curious. The curiosity has shifted. I'm now a technology solutions leader at a leading technology services consulting organization, and I am fascinated by the art of the possible. And in particular, how does technology enable these amazing opportunities in business, in human interaction, in the design of our built world? This podcast is going to take a little bit of inspiration from Mythbusters, a lot of inspiration from 99PI, and just hundreds of other professionals who I've gotten to meet over the course of my career. Now, these podcasts are going to be very specific. They're going to start off with a human question, a business question, something that is either very obvious or something that might not always be so obvious. But then we're going to try to answer that question with technology. Sometimes it's going to be with an interview of someone who's a CIO or a technology leader or an organizational leader or a marketing leader. And then sometimes it's really just going to be me talking about an interesting framework as it relates to understanding and translating human factors into business impact. Specifically, how do you make money? How do you reduce your costs? And then how do you mitigate risk? This is all a very exciting proposition for me because, again, I haven't done this podcasting thing in about 20 years, and I had a great time doing it. I met a lot of people, my network expanded, and it just fed my curiosity. And so I am extremely excited to debut this new podcast, and I've already got a couple of great interviews that are lined up. You're going to learn a lot about the built world and technology as I learn myself. And I think that's the whole reason why anybody would do a podcast in this day and age. Because let me tell you, I've been spending the last 2 weeks working on setting up this podcast. Now, the crazy thing about this is that when I last did a podcast, setting up a website, getting equipment, figuring out how to distribute these episodes, this was insane. It took me about a year to get everything stable. I was able to do most of this stuff in a single afternoon, which is just, it blows your mind, but it does speak to the importance of human factors. the interest in podcasting, the interest in content creation has reached a level where there are so many new amazing businesses that have cropped up to enable all of this stuff. And I'm pretty sure that my husband is just going to be thrilled that I'm going to be able to utilize the enormous amount of tech just stuff that we have lying around the house that I have collected over the years. I'm so excited about doing this. And all I can say is thank you for those of you who are going to come along on this journey. You're the reason why I do this. I produce this for myself. The questions and the areas of interest are definitely going to be my own. But the reason why I do it in the podcast format is so that I can keep myself accountable. I can push myself to ask the deeper questions. As I mentioned, there are probably a couple of hundred technology podcasts out there covering a range of subjects. And trust me, if I wanted to just do another podcast that was like 99% invisible, oh my God, that'd be so much easier. But I really want to pursue this passion in and around human factors technology. So again, we're talking about technology that enables human behavior. It is the ultimate in this day and age, especially in the age of AI. AI holds so much promise for us. But when you look at what AI is out there, there's a lot of folks doing it right, and there's a lot of folks who are just doing it for the sake of doing AI, which there is nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast is because I want to shine the light on people who are taking a genuine human problem and not only solving it with technology, but solving it in a way that technology is validating either that enhancement or that, I wouldn't say replacement of human behavior, but it's that the changing of human behavior, because we're in a day and age where we're all really, really busy. We could all use some time back, whether it's in our personal lives or our professional lives. And technology is the promise that sometimes delivers and it sometimes doesn't. So here's my promise to you. I'm going to stay curious. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to ask the questions that are of interest to me. What I want you to do is I want you, number one, to tell your friends and tell your family about this podcast, but I also want you to submit questions. I want you to go to humanfactorstech.com, that's humanfactorstech.com, and submit questions. I want to know what you're curious about. Because one of, I would suggest is, I wouldn't say it's my superpower, but I have an amazing network, and I'm going to have the opportunity to tap that network to help answer a lot of these questions. And so for me, it's about not just what's in my head, not just what fascinates me, but what fascinates you as well. So if you've got a question, if you are fascinated about technology, if you're like, could we make something better? I want you to submit it as a question to humanfactorstech.com. You can either that or you could email me at hello@humanfactorstech.com. See, we've made this a very user-friendly email. It's very easy to remember. hello@humanfactorstech.com. I want you to submit your questions. Now, again, this is a little bit Jeopardy-esque. I want you to submit your business problems, your interest areas in the form of a question, because that's how we're going to start out every single episode. We're going to start with a question, and then we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk a little bit about what are the business impact areas. So again, where's the money to be made? What costs can be saved? What risks can be mitigated with this technology? And then hopefully we're going to have some amazing interviews with people who are actually doing it. And this is going to be the exciting part of it, not to mention the fact that this is just my way of getting out there in the world and doing a ton of networking. So again, thank you for coming on this journey with me. I am incredibly excited about it. And I look forward to discovering this entire world of human factors enabled technology with you. Stay safe out there and stay curious.